What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to JJD TV. I'm your host Josh, and today we're back for our 5 takeaways of the game between Borussia Dortmund and Club Brugge. And like you guys noticed, we won 3-0. I predicted that scoreline. I know, I'm good. But it was in the start of the watch long. You guys were just throwing predictions, and I just felt like a 3-0 game, which was funny because I picked the last game between them 3-0 as well. So on a little bit of fire, but let's just get into it. It wasn't the most amazing performance there was. I mean, Club Brugge surprisingly had a decent amount of possession, but in the end, it was a comfortable 3-0 win. We got the goals in the first half. We're able to actually just kind of sit back instead of just running them into the ground, which was kind of nice because we just have so much of the ball, and we don't honestly sit back and just be able to relax in a game. So it's kind of interesting to see how we did do it in that. A little bit different tactics than in the previous game between them, but let's get into our 5 takeaways. So the first takeaway, which is the only little negative-ish one, and I just kind of want to bring this up to see what you guys' opinion were, because we had a few different opinions in the chat, was that there was no Moukoko. I was honestly flabbergasted. I don't know what other word to use to describe that. This was an opportunity in a 3-0 game that we were like walking away with, and even with the last substitution towards 80th minute, why not throw the kid on? Give him another record, 16 years old, 4 days, a record that'll probably never be beaten. Yes, he can still break the record next week, but it's 16 years, 11 days. I don't know. I was just kind of confused by it. I was convinced he was going to come on, especially because he came on the weekend. I don't know. I was kind of disappointed. I wanted to see him break the record today, and was honestly just genuinely surprised that it didn't happen. And I just wanted to see what you guys thought about it. Were you surprised that Moukoko didn't come on? Did you want to see him come on? Someone told me that Fabra's been on fire lately with his decision making. So I mean, I'll leave it up to you guys in the chat. But for me, kind of a missed opportunity for a kid to come on in a moment like this and make some history. So I was a little disappointed, actually a lot disappointed not to see him, but it's what it is. So let's get on to our second takeaway. And our second takeaway is the formations. And the reason I was kind of getting a little dramatic about it is because it's been a long time since we've actually had 2 formations that work for us. When we went way back into switching into the 3-4-3 with obviously Hakimi and Guerrero being the forefront of that change, we stuck with that formation through and through all the way until randomly this year, obviously when it wasn't working because Meunier just cannot play as a right wing back, we decided to go into the 4-2-3-1, and it looked incredible. But I honestly thought that Fabra, because he's kind of stubborn, was just going to stick with it all the way out. And then he surprised us against Hertha on the weekend when he went back into the 3-4-3. I thought he was going to change at halftime because we were losing in it, but we didn't. We stuck with it. We stuck with that 3-4-3 formation the entire game, and we won 5-2. And now we go back to the 4-2-3-1. So now we have 2 formations that we can just slide with back and forth, which is absolutely incredible. It makes us very versatile. With having players like Chan and Brandt, and honestly even from time to time Royce, who can go up when he needs to up front as well as come back. It's very incredible to see the way that these teams can do and the different formations that we can use going forward, because I think it's going to be very important for us going into the bigger kind of games when we can surprise teams when they don't quite know what we're going to do. And also a good indicator was in the Hertha game, they came off flat-footed. They were not quite on the same wavelength because of the change of system, but they caught their feet and they blew Hertha away, and right from the off on this game, they got back in the 4-2-3-1. So I thought it was a very low-key but kind of positive thing for us going forward. Looking at our third takeaway is the squad depth. And I'm bringing this point up to you guys because, well, I saw Royce, Brandt come off the bench. We saw Witsel and Dahoud not even come off the bench. It just shows how stacked our bench is. And then looking at the upcoming games with the weekend games, Champions League, weekend, Champions League game, weekend, Champions League, we have so much football coming up. Having a bench like that, having options between Brandt, Royce, even Hazard, Sancho, and then the big 5 in the middle of the park when you got Chan with Bellingham, Dahoud, Witsel, Delaney. You can bring Chan back into the center back so you can switch up formation. It's actually beautiful to have, and in my opinion, we have the best bench in the Bundesliga right now. And I think with these crunch games coming up, it's going to be help us so much in this title push, especially with looking at Bayern's bench and looking at some of the injuries that they have. And I just think it's very positive, and to see like Dahoud not even come on for a minute of this game with the great form he's in probably suggests that he's going to play the full 90 at Cologne. But I just think it's an incredible depth that we have, and it's obviously our center backs are a little depleted, but Zagadu's on his way back, and it's just looking up for us. And I just can't stress enough how important the squad depth will be with this COVID congested season. Which then goes into our final 2 points, and that means that our fourth takeaway was actually really related to the game, because I know I was going a little bit all over the place, but I think those are some good things that I got pointed out to in these games and watching them with you guys. But our fourth takeaway is Erling Håland, and he's on here because the man is an animal. He scored 2 more goals today. The first one was a beautiful time run, went in and tucked it in, posted in. It couldn't have been a nicer finish at the near post, as well as his other finish, which didn't have to look at the net to know exactly where it was. People are throwing comments in about Ballon d'Or potential and how much is he worth and this and that, and I just think he needs to put it all behind him and just focus on what he's doing now, and I think it's exactly what he's doing, because he's on incredible form. There's no one, I think, playing in that number 9 position who plays it quite like he does. The finishing, the physicality on the player, and just the willingness and eager to get on the balls and put the ball in the back of the net is incredible. We wouldn't be where we are right now without him, because he is a match winner. When we're in these tight, nitty-gritty games, when our legs are feeling it, he is that little something that we need to be able to put it in. But he did play a lot, and he's going to be playing a lot in the next few weeks, like I mentioned, that schedule. So it's going to be very curious for me to see how we're going to balance that, especially with Moukoko coming up. But for me, this game, again, just solidified the kind of striker he is and what he means to this team, and was very important with banging in 2 goals. Which leads to my final takeaway, and I'm excited for this one because this one is Jadon Sancho related, and it's because he hasn't been, obviously, on great form. But today gave me little flashbacks of what he was like last year. The sneaky, clever little balls where he's cutting one way and just times it perfectly for Håland to run onto is exactly what you like to see from him. On top of the fact that I was literally saying, all right, this free kick's meant for Guerrero. You think maybe Reina takes it from time to time, and then Sancho just steps over it and bullets it in the back of the net. It was a phenomenal finish. I didn't even know he could do that. And obviously the assist as well, and he's picking up his game a little bit. He's too talented, obviously, not to catch form, and I'm hoping he can get it now. He looked very comfortable on that left-hand side, and he's going to be a very important player for us going forward. And it's just great to see him finally put in a real showing that showed why he was as good as a player with those 17 goals and 16 assists he got last season. So, for me, those are my 5 takeaways from today's game. It was honestly a fun watch. We had a lot of you guys and a lot of support on our watch along, as we usually do. It meant a lot to us, so thank you everyone who was obviously in the watch along, and let me know what you guys think about my 5 takeaways. If you agree with it, definitely want to know about your Moukoko thoughts, because mine were I was pretty bummed out. But overall, it was a great watch along. It was a great performance, and we sit top of the group right now, and that's honestly, at the end of the day, the most important thing. So we got the Lazio game to worry about. They're 2-2 right now, so, or sorry, yes, they are 2-2 right now, and we are 3-1. We're sitting on 10 points, and they are sitting on 9 points, 8 points. Got to make sure the math is right. But they're going to be the closest one, and that final game against Lazio will probably decide the group. So, I mean, they kept up with a good win today, as did ourselves, so we'll keep an eye and do that watch along when the time comes. But for now, it brings the end to our little 5 takeaways. I hope you guys enjoyed the watch along. I hope you guys enjoyed the takeaways. If you're new around here, be sure to comment, like, and subscribe, and we will see you next time.